All right. Great. Hi, everybody, and thanks for your patience in getting this rolling. I thought I had the tech all figured out beforehand, but so it goes running a live event in 2021 on the interwebs. So thank you for your patience, everybody. So I'm just going to play a little bit of, well, you know what? I'm going to start off with a video, which will also help ease folks in if they were trying to figure out what was going on technologically. And again, I thank you all for your patience. So this is a video by Claire Randall's band, or a band of which she was a co-leader. This is a song of hers called Sister Song that this is a live performance, though it was also recorded by this band Trot Fox. And Trot Fox, who one of their first recordings, an unreleased single called Lil Peanut, is going to be released tomorrow on all the streaming sites. So please be on the lookout for that in honor of what would have been Claire's 32nd birthday. So I wanted to start off by sharing that, and then we'll talk about Claire's Continuum, and we'll get to check out all this wonderful art. So thank you and welcome. My name is Noah Behrman, and I am your host and artistic director of Resonant Motion, and one of the conveners of the Claire's Continuum team, and happy to be here with all of you. So we're going to check this out, and then you're going to meet all these wonderful people. And here's where I show my great fluency with Zoom, with sharing my screen. And here we go. So this is Sister Song.
Devotion unto my pride. growing colder, colder. Lifted up on your shoulder. Yeah. Build a fire in the night and I'll find you somehow. Build a fire in the night and I'll find you somehow. You can't break down if you let down. When the dark of the night is growing colder, colder. Lift it up on your shoulder. Your shelter brace for each of the palms of your life. More seasons covered in progress, cheering from the sidelines. Thank you.
All right, that was beautiful. So we're going to meet all of these lovely people in a couple at a time, but I'll just provide a little context. So it's been 5 years since we lost Claire, who was one of the initial architects of Resonant Motion, the nonprofit that I direct and that oversees the Claire's Continuum initiative. And we would have been, of course, devastated even if she wasn't a wonderful person and a wonderful artist, just because loss like that isn't supposed to happen. And but she was those things, and we brainstormed for a while about how to come up with an initiative that would further Resonant Motion's mission of addressing the intersection of music and positive change, and also more specifically do justice to what Claire was about. And we eventually, and I want to give a shout out to one of our core team members, Dave Copperman, for planting, I think, the most fertily germinating seed in this brainstorming process of commissioning work that would evoke some of these things. And we centered on two aspects of what Claire brought to the table as a person, as an artist. One was commitment to social justice, and one was the capacity to bring people together. I definitely experienced this first as her teacher and then as her friend and collaborator, the way she had this knack for bringing together people who didn't know each other before and yet really connected. And she was quite a conduit for that. And so we are in our second artist cycle of the Claire's Continuum initiative, where we commission works that address in a myriad of ways, which we try not to restrict too heavily, social consciousness, in this case, commitment to future generations. And we had a couple prompts in the form of Claire's collage and her poetry / lyrics. And then the other aspect is fomenting new partnerships, new artistic collaborations, where the other part of it was folks who had never worked together before in a creative collaboration, and initiating those relationships. And we don't know if they'll be one-offs or the start of something big, as the case may be, but it brings us a lot of joy to see some of these relationships developing. And it's been really fascinating how the artists who you'll see today run a pretty wide gamut, from people who were friends of Claire's in three-dimensional life, and people who didn't know about her until going through this application process. And we are actually really moved by that, by both feeling the energy of people who knew Claire, and also the energy of people who are extending further out from the center of the circle, and yet still bringing so much soul and artistic integrity and creativity and fearlessness, artistic and other fearlessness, to the process. So that's enough out of me for a while. If you have any questions that come up along the way, you can put them in the Facebook chat. I think I can follow along with that, with the neurons I have available while doing everything else. You can also email info@resonantmotion.org, info@resonantmotion.org, and I will check that from time to time. And after we have all of these works presented, we should have a few minutes left for some Q&A from those watching wherever they may be watching. And so if it is okay, Taylor and Johnny, I would like to start with y'all. So from LA, but never having worked together before, we have Taylor Simone Harvey and Johnny Gilmore. And I guess we're gonna, if you guys want to set up the work, and then I can play it once you do so. And then you can talk before or after, both, whatever combination. So go for it. I want to hear what you have to say about it. So
Hi, y'all. Yeah, it's been a real pleasure meeting and collaborating with Johnny, and it's kind of just like a meeting of the strengths that he brought, composing the bass, like melody and chords, with some of my lyrics. And I think at an abstract, it's about like contemplating what creating your own legacy means, both personally and in a macro sense of like humanity. And sometimes that's just like the daily trying, the daily choice to commit to something different is a legacy. Yeah.
I gotta say, I think my favorite part of the whole process is how like perfectly 50-50 the final project ended up being.
Mm.
Like originally the like first germ of it was mine, but then like the melodies are all Taylor's, and her idea that like blew the whole thing open musically was to double the length of the chords for the verses. And like it was just such a like, and then my thing was go back to the normal thing for the choruses and then have the refrain, and then the final lyric was such a combo where like I wrote a draft that was just entirely about climate change, pretty much right down the middle, and then she took it and made it a much broader thing about the whole like circuitous nature of human existence. And I was like, whoa, you know so that was really cool. Like I think really, if you were to, not that this was even the point, but if you were to partition who did what, it's like
Mhm.
almost perfectly half and half, and that was really cool to see.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
great. And I had a lot of fun listening to it, and you all are about to as well. So this is Every Day, and um, assuming I do this right, we are about to hear that. Okay, here is Every Day by Johnny Gilmore and Taylor Simone Harvey.
Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Such a winding road ahead, though it seems so far away. We can't go straight. Time to get back up again. So much we do not know. But soon we'll see what the future brings. But as I see the sky burning and turning, black mistakes haunting our present and our past, are we really all that wise? Or are we a comet that crashed into the sea, poison the only air we breathe? Are we the cause of our demise? Na 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 na. Almost lost all faith again, discouraged by the mess that we made. All that remains is the lesson here. But oh, what if it's all too late? Is the journey all for naught if we cannot change our fate? 'Cause I see the ocean steady rising to the sky, melting down to heat from ice. Are we really all that smart? Or are we just caught up in a flood of our decay, fading to wash our life away? Can we finish what we start? Every day I get down and pray, hope we'll be okay all in time. Just maybe our legacy is continuing to try. Every day I get down and pray, hope we'll be okay all in time. Just maybe our legacy
Sorry, don't know what happened.
Just maybe our legacy is continuing to try.
Well, I apologize for whatever's happening on the tech end there. Um, the good news is that in the coming weeks, we'll have this as well as Kaylee and Jackie's song up on SoundCloud and available through the clairescontinuum.com website where we're archiving the works. And I will just make the observation in case anyone watching this is wondering how many times do you have to listen to this song before you don't tear up when it gets to that part at the end where there's the extra vocals and so on. The answer is, I don't know yet. I'll keep you posted. Um, um, more than 8, I think, is my answer so far. But so we'll see. Thank you, Johnny and Taylor. Do you have anything now that folks have heard most of it? Anything that you want to add to the conversation?
If there's any good news about the technical glitches happening when they do, it's that the track just repeats that refrain and fades out from there. So there's no thematic material you all missed. Although you missed some kick-ass vocal riffing from Taylor,
It's true.
as she does a bit of that. So that's too bad.
So something else to look forward
It's
to.
all good.
We don't have to limit our pleasure just to this hour. And,
Oh yeah, it's even better.
I
okay.
had a great time. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I really had a great time.
Thank you both. Since I was just referencing Kaylee and Jackie's song, as we have Kaylee O'Doherty, who is zooming in from Boston en route to New York, and Jackie Sorrow, who's zooming in from Philly, and I think. Okay. And would love to hear both of you talk about your lovely work of art.
Yeah, can y'all hear me? We collaborated on a song called Always Reaching that Jackie wrote all the lyrics to. And our process was Jackie wrote the lyrics, and then she sang a bit of melody, and then I put chords to it and added some melody to some of the parts that didn't have melody. And we kind of went back and forth a bit, and yeah, it was really, really fun to work with Jackie, and I love the lyrics. And she also did an art component that I think she's going to show you. So.
Yeah, I was describing our process, Kaylee, to somebody today, and they were like, "So you mean you're in the postal service?" The band, and I was like, "That's kind of accurate," because we would just send each other like little clips of things that eventually, and like take what the other person had done and sort of take it to the next step. And yeah, I was journaling, and I like wrote these lyrics and then sent a little voice memo to Kaylee, and she totally just took it and made it into this like jazzy odyssey. And my process around, I made this art piece, which I'm gonna walk you all over to, because I hung it up in the window and it fell down. So I had so I knew Claire, and she got me my first job at Wesleyan when we were in college, and we used to online shop together. And she would shop for these shoes that were like giant platforms. And so I kept thinking, like, if I wore the shoes that she wore, literally or figuratively, I would be taller. My spirit would be larger. And that was the sort of root of that. And so I made this thing full of, I don't know if you can hear it, but it sort of tinkles. It's full of slides, which she loved to collect, and mirror shards and little pieces of colorful film. So when you hang it up in the light, it casts all of these colorful shadows. And that just, sort of helped me process enough to write this song that we ended up collaborating on.
Thank you both. So let's, without any further ado, or should there be any further ado? Or are we on to it? So this is Already Reaching. And hold on to your seats.
If I wore your shoes, I would be taller. I tried on your clothes, they were too small, and I'm already reaching, already reaching. Flip my hand up to the sky, the sun slips by, I'm already reaching, already reaching. Trip the sticky things, I can still sing to fly. I'm already reaching, already reaching. The crackle of my dreams is telling me a younger version sings. Oh, you cackle with me, my left thumb still stings. Sharpen all my teeth, fraction of my free. Oh, I'm cackling, I'm already reaching. I'm already reaching, already reaching, already reaching. We'll pull our jewels when we meet again. Sugar, shake your head, I'm going back to bed. Kids are dreaming, already reaching. Lights are falling, already reaching. The greenest garden, already reaching. If you get this, I hope you come.
Oof. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. So we actually already got a question about that, which I'm going to throw at you in a minute. But did you have anything else you wanted to say now that folks have gotten to hear the sonic fruition of those ideas in that process? Okay. So the question is, and I can relate to this because recording music asynchronously, to use the term that now we've all become all too familiar with over the last couple of years, which is to say you're not in a room together making it happen at the same time. It's there are some challenges to it, but it's particularly challenging when the song is not, the piece of music in question doesn't have like a strict tempo where everybody's playing to like a pre-established click. And so someone was wondering, given that this has such fluidity to the rhythm, what was the sequence? And you can keep mum about this and let people wonder, but what was the sequence in terms of who was working along with whose part, if that question makes sense?
Yeah.
You don't have to tell, but
Oh yeah, we can tell. I sent Jackie like a clip kind of me playing a part and kind of singing the vocal part as I heard it, like a scratch demo. And then she re-recorded something with my piano part, and then I re-recorded to her voice. So we kind of like did it back and forth. And then that final version that you all heard was I recorded to her. So she recorded by herself, and then I recorded following her. So I listened to it several times, and then and also you can kind of see, this kind of cheating, but you can also kind of see the wavelengths. Like if you drop the file into GarageBand or Logic, whatever you use, you can kind of see when she's about to start a phrase, the wavelength is really big.
That's really clever.
I can anticipate like, oh, there's where the beat's coming. So I would fill baseline things, and then just as I saw it approaching, I would get prepared to play the next thing.
Great. Well, yeah, and those of you who are not musicians who are watching this, it may not be self-evident that that's tricky. But if I didn't know that, and I suspect this was true of the person who asked this question, if I didn't know that you were not in a room together, breathing together, and sort of using visual cues and so on, I would have just assumed that was the vibe. So being able to simulate that from different states is quite a trick. So which is the pretty small potatoes compared to the emotional potency, of course, of the piece in general. But thanks for allowing that moment of music nerdery, and thank you for that lovely work. And I'm not even sure how I would describe the multimedia conceptual extravaganza that we are about to witness from Carla Kihlstedt and the duo of Umbrella Pine, Magdalena Abrego and Alison Burek. But you are all zooming in from different places. But I'm going to let y'all take the quasi podium, and to whatever extent you let me know when you want me to show and or play any of the stuff that I have, and take it away.
Okay, cool. Hello, everyone. I'm calling you from Montreal. And so Magdalena and I both composed these pieces that were inspired by Claire's use of collage. And we as Umbrella Pine had never worked with graphic scores before. So we kind of were integrating collage into a graphic score concept. So Noah, if you want to go ahead and show the image I sent you, this was the score I made out of a photo, two photos, one of mine and one of Magdalena's, that we took in our respective neighborhoods or landscapes. And this, with the title, Remember This, is sort of the prompt that I gave to Magdalena and Carla to record a few takes of. So I made this, sent this to each one of them, and then they sent me maybe 15 or 20 minutes of sounds and music and audio each. And then the final product, which you'll hear next, is a collage of that audio. And I kind of wanted to create this audio that was representative of our collective remembering. And so I was functioning in a process that was really intuitive, while also looking to this image as guidance. So you can go ahead and show that or play that if you want.
Do you want me to show the DAW image too, or?
After, if people want to see that.
So I'll hit play on it, and then I'll put the image back up so people have that as their ongoing point of reference. Should be, what? Let me double check that, I'm sorry. I guess we'll just watch this blank screen, sorry. All right. Thank you. That's so awesome. And this is Ali sent me this morning too. This is what it would look like on the computer. Um, Makes my brain hurt. I'll admit that. Looking at this and trying to figure out how you could pull all that together. And thank you. That is so awesome. And Magdalena, you've got more stuff to show us too, if I'm not mistaken.
I do.
I know
It's
I'm not
true.
mistaken, but
That was awesome, Ali. I'm gonna be totally transparent. I haven't heard that until right now. And you hadn't either. Amazing. So the really fun thing too that I'll add, that was really fun for me to listen to just now, was like Carla and I, well, we definitely didn't hear each other's sound samples prior, like at any point during the recording of them. And even afterwards, I didn't listen to Carla's on purpose. I didn't want to be influenced by them and try to make something that would work well. But I was so thrilled to hear actually how they fit together. I don't know, Carla, what was your reaction? I would just love to know how you reacted to that.
Well, I come from a kind of family of hobbyist collage artists. My grandmother used to do a lot of collages. I still have a bunch of her collage stuff. My sister does collages all the time, and I dabble also. So I love the idea of responding to that collage, which first of all had like all this kind of conflicting sensory things in it for me. It looked like a sculpture garden. So which made me imagine that like those three figures where it looked like they were made of metal because of my association with sculpture gardens, but then looking closely, they're made of grass. And so there's this gentle delicateness to like, so there's all this kind of conflicting spatial things in that simple image, which I loved. And I also just love the challenge of just giving Ali just stuff to tear apart, like not worrying about coherence, not worrying about like am I, what am I, like when I'm going back, being able to go back and forth and saying, here's something that's like reminds me of this space and what the air might sound like there. Here's something that feels like a discussion between three things. Here's something, just kind of throw a lot of stuff at Ali and not worry about coherence, and know that would be Ali's job. And that was really fun. So I kind of threw a lot of my weirdest instruments at it, like marxophone and bass harmonica and and programmable chromatic what's it called, music box. So that was just like really liberating to me, to be like, I'm not the one who has to pull this together, and it's and just knowing. So that was really fun to hear it all come together, and then hear Magdalena's contributions.
Yeah, I was so stoked when you guys sent me your files, because they were so different and so varied that I kind of had to like, I listened to everything and I was like, okay, I don't even know how to begin. But as soon as I started piecing stuff together, it kind of, the story told itself a bit. And it was so much fun to work with each of your individual sounds. So thank you both.
The thing that made this whole process really wonderful for me, and I think will continue to make this wonderful for me in both of the structures that you guys came up with, is that I feel like it didn't have to do, and it doesn't have to do necessarily with the thing we're showing today, but it feels like you both built systems that I can use for a lifetime, like kind of ways of engaging and ways of like pivoting from visual to sonic, and ways of like, so I feel like, when I sent you guys an email this morning saying, let's make more of these, like feels like a play space. I feel like you guys built a play space, and this is just like the first piece of evidence for that, and that's really exciting for me.
Yeah, the description of it as a play space is the perfect segue into what I'm about to show you all. So I feel really extra right now and a little bit self-conscious about this, but I have a literal slideshow for today. But I honestly feel like this would be difficult to comprehend without the slideshow. So here we go. Follow me down this train. Also, hello, my name is Magdalena Abrego. I'm gonna try to share my screen with you, and you can let me know if you can see it in a second. Yeah, cool. Okay. I made a graphic score card game inspired by and dedicated to Claire Randall, and it is called Continuum. The composition is a series inspired by the way that media plays a role in validating our otherwise unreliable memory. And I mean media as like the plural for medium. And the idea was inspired by this task of memorializing someone that I didn't know personally. And it was tactilely influenced by Claire's own work, namely collages. Additionally, when like considering this prompt of commitment to future generations, I started to get like really obsessed with how our understanding of the future is shaped by our perception of the past. So I'm going to go into how to play the card game. So this card game relies on a great deal of preparation, so follow me for a moment. The game is designed for 2 players. The 2 players have to decide who is going to be a photographer and who is going to be an accompanist. The photographer must supply the accompanist with at least 12 photographs for the game, and that's based on like what average rolls of film have exposure numbers for. But the photographer must take these photographs themselves. They can't be photographs that were taken by anyone else. And then they must also provide one word or phrase to accompany each photograph. And that word or phrase has to describe the photographer's original intent for capturing the moment in the photograph. Meanwhile, the accompanist will create a cipher that converts the English language alphabet into the musical alphabet and use that cipher to transform linguistic ideas, accompanying each photograph into musical phrases, which will accompany each card. And this is an example of like a basic cipher that is made randomly. So the accompanist creates a deck of cards with each card displaying one photograph and its accompanying musical phrase derived from the photographer's stated intent. And that's an example of what one card looks like. That is the preparation for the game. I'm going to go back to the very beginning of this slideshow all over again and tell you why I made these decisions. So I wanted to be able to compare my experience of this game with my longtime friend and collaborator, Allison, and my relatively new friend and brand new collaborator, Carla Kilstead. And I wanted to be able to isolate and compare the experiences and not use it as a platform for a trio performance. So hence the 2-player game. one person needed to be a photographer because I wanted one person in the game to have an emotional connection to the photographs and to the memory in the moment being captured. And this process of using language and ciphertext basically just served to emulate the experience of memory distortion by forcing an obfuscation of original intent. And just FYI, I left staffs on the cards cleftless to further distance that musical material from the photographer's original intent. So now we've got a deck of cards. It looks something like this. And once you have a deck of cards, you can play a number of rounds of the game using subsets of the deck. So here's an example of what one round would look like. So now we've got these cards. Let's talk about how to play the game. So here are the game rules. You shuffle the deck of cards as all card games begin. And then the players have to agree on a number of cards to draw from the deck. Then you remove that number of cards and place the cards horizontally next to each other. Now, the objective for the accompanist is to play a continuum of sound inspired by the musical material written on the staff of each card. They can move from one card to the next at whatever pace, but there has to be a significant sound change from card to card so the photographer knows what card you're on. Now, the objective for the photographer is to provide a real-time score for the photographs on each card, allowing space for the influence of memory. The photographer may or may not choose to engage musically with the continuum of sound produced by the accompanist. The whole piece starts when the accompanist starts playing, and it ends when the accompanist stops playing. So basically what you've got are two people looking at one score, but reading two different things and letting that information that they're getting from the score influence sonic decisions. So I have examples of the game for you today. This is one round of Continuum played with Carla Gilstead. In this game, or this round of the game, I was the accompanist and Carla was the photographer. And I'm going to play this for you now, but let me double check that I'm actually sharing my sound. How do I know this? Oh, here we go. So, oh, I see. I might need, hang on a second. Technology is against us today, Noah. Okay, I'm gonna press play, and if you can't hear anything, just like wave wildly. No, waving wildly is occurring. Okay, just a second.
Maybe you might want to unshare and then reshare, making sure that the include audio box is checked there, which is the Zoom audio sharing equivalent of turn the thing off and back on again, I guess.
I love it. I mean, it's the tried and true method. Okay, same deal. If you can't hear, wave wildly. You did great the first time. Take two.
Give me a thumbs up when recording.
Good morning.
Be quiet, because there's people sleeping in this house. Yes, they are not. They're either sleeping people. What do you think they're dreaming of right now? Those sleeping people.
Being awake. like you have jobs.
I remember. What job do you want today?
I don't know, what job do you want?
Apothecary master.
What's that?
Apothecary is a place you might go to get a calendula salve, for example.
Where is my calendula?
Bring it.
So that is one round of Continuum played by Carla Kilstead. I've got one more recording to show you. It's a short one as well. I mentioned I also played a round with Allie. So I'm going to show you one round of this game played with Allie, and this round only had one card. Thanks for listening, everybody, and thanks for playing, Allie and Claire. Carla, excuse me. And, well, Claire was one of the people in the photo.
Yeah. Thank you. I have a question that came in, but I was actually wondering too about the game. And that is where on the, pun not intended, continuum of improvisation versus premeditation are the players expected to be in terms of their relationship with these phrases? Does the question make sense? Like, are they supposed to be responding in the moment to these cards in a way that has no preconception involved, or are they also permitted to take time with that as part of their prep process?
That's a great question, and one that I don't know yet, because
it's not built into the rules that it needs to be one or the other.
Well, I guess like the thing that is interesting for me as the composer is like I've only experienced this game asynchronously, by sharing tracks, because we're geographically far away from each other, and so we couldn't get together and actually play the game in person. I think that if you play the game in person, I guess it might lend itself to more spontaneous creation. For me as a player during these recordings, I relied heavily on spur of the moment improvisation. And the thing that made me excited to play this with Allie and with Carla was knowing them as super strong improvisers and knowing that they would bring first thought, best thought in the weirdest and greatest way to this game.
Great. Thank you. And Carla, I don't know if you want to introduce the unsung special guest or not, but just wanted...
this is Vigo Bossi, who was my partner in my creative partner this very morning, actually. So Vigo does some rocks out on the electric guitar, but we were in a house full of sleeping people, so we kept it settled today.
Right on. Well, thank you all, and I guess I'm gonna wrap up. I'm just gonna check one more time to see if there's any questions that I missed. If I did, then I apologize. But I'll send Magdalena. I'll send you one of the things in the chat from longtime Resonant Motion supporter Don Logie about Don Ellis in the '70s using a deck of cards as a way to spur improvisation with his band. But
please do.
So I want to extend a thank you to all the people who have, I'm not going to list them all because then we'll be here for another hour, but all the people who have enabled this. Particular shout out to Dave Copperman, Pete LaMalfa, Nell Sue, and Gabe Gordon, who have been particularly instrumental in carrying the Claire's Continuum initiative forward. I want to thank the emotional and financial backers of the initiative. If you intend to be one of the latter and haven't been, you can go to resonantmotion.org or clairescontinuum.com and donate there. But mostly I'm just happy for everybody who lent. I mean, we could use the bread too to continue supporting this work and continue commissioning more artists in future years. But mostly I'm happy for everybody who's brought the vibe, whether it's the encouragement for us to keep doing this work, which is joyful and sad all at the same time. But a whole lot of joy today and a lot of inspiration. And so first, I guess I already said first and foremost. So what's above first and foremost? To a supreme and superlative degree, I would like to thank these artists. So thank you to Taylor Harvey and Johnny Gilmore. Thank you to Kelly O'Doherty and Jackie Soro. Thank you to Alison Burek and Magdalena Abrego and Carla Kielstedt and Vigo. And I hope everybody, both on this call and everybody watching, goes forth into their day and their weekend feeling inspired and emboldened. And if you remember to check out the new old Trot Fox single that will be premiered to the world, I will temporarily act like I'm of the generation of my students and say it's fire, but it really is. And that drops, Lil Peanut drops tomorrow on all of your favorite and least favorite streaming services. Is that the same one? I'm trying. Trot Fox is 2 words, so that might actually be something else. But
oh, really? All right.
There are a couple singles already out. They did covers of "Do You Realize" by the Flaming Lips and "Say It Ain't So" by Weezer, in addition to Sister's Song, which we began the afternoon with. Those are all already available on their Bandcamp, but not yet on streaming services. This will be their first, unless you consider Bandcamp to be a streaming service, because technically you could stream something there. This will be the first, but not last, Trot Fox song to appear on other streaming services, and I am delighted that is so, and I'm delighted to have experienced all this art. Thank you each and every one, and a happy December season to everybody. good afternoon, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Great job.